You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Hugh-poo-doo! Why do Coombas like having a fit? Well, it can be now for the Glossip Tea. Well, what an intro from Anonymous, who is 10 farting gorillas years old. Thank you very much. Why do Coombas like having a fit? I reckon it's because if they have something that doesn't fit, then it's just really annoying, isn't it? It's like when you eat a burger that's stacked up too high and you can't actually bite it properly and then you have to take it apart and eat it all in different little bits. And that's not what I want from a burger. I want to just bite it. And what is Glossip Tea? I would like some of that. Does it make you extra glossipy if you drink it? So many questions, but as always, so little time. Actually, there's loads of time, really. In fact, so much that I could just do this for ages. Do-de-do-de-do-de-do-do-do, do-de-do-de-do-de-do, da-de-dee-do-do-dee-de-dee-do-do, da-de-dee. Like, I mean, I could just keep doing that for even longer than that, you know. Do-de-do-de-do-de-do-do, da-da, do-do-do-do-do. Oh, sorry, I got carried away. I mean, there isn't much time now because it's now o'clock, which means hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast, suitable for all ages from... to... Excipidos! And everything in between. I'm Tiernan and do-de-do-de-dabba-do-da-dee. Sorry, I just can't get that tune out of my head now. It's very annoying, especially as I don't really know how it goes. And I don't know any of the words either. Are there any words? Linda! Linda! Does this tune have any words? Linda! Ugh, where is Linda? Who is Linda? Oh, well, I guess we'll just have to see what happens if I keep singing it. Dibbly-doo-da-wah-wah-da, dibby-dibby-diddy-doo. I don't like radio nonsense. I really don't like radio nonsense. I don't like... Oh, wait a minute, these are terrible lyrics. This is not a good song. I don't want to sing about how much I don't like this show that I love very much. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me just see what happens next. I don't like radio nonsense. I love it, yeah. Do-ba-dee-da-ba-wow-wow-wow-wow-dee-dee-dee-doo-doo. Oh, actually, yeah, that's much better. Okay, I'm quite keen to hear the rest of the song now. But what I really, really don't like, and what makes me sick out from my eyes, because I don't like it so much, is when people write into the podcast with questions or jokes or reviews or anything else. Do-boo-ba-doo. No, sorry, I would never say that. I love it when you message in with intros for the show, or jokes, or questions, or reviews. In fact, this week, big thank you to Potato with an E, which is how it should be spelled, as that makes it sound like a potato on the end of your foot. Your potato. Potato with an E, who is 10 farting potatoes, or 7 farting monkeys. They kindly reviewed the show saying, "Dis be absolutely amazing. Please listen." And that it is 90 million% amazing, which, I mean, I don't understand numbers, but I think that is quite a lot. Thank you, Potato with an E, for that and all the potatoes you sent, which I will now wear on my feet like starchy shoes. Oh, wait, hang on, it's coming back. They make me sick from my eyes because I love them so much. I love your reviews and letters and jokes. Yeah, be-doo-be-doo. Ah, phew. Well, thank goodness for that. And I have been meaning to say, if you write a nice review for the show, which is great as it really helps other ears to find it, you know, and the owners of those ears, obviously. And if in your review you put a question, then the reason I don't read it out on this podcast is because your question then goes straight into the mega question pile to be answered as soon as I can find an expert for it. The question pile, I should say, is pretty big at the moment. In fact, so big that I'm having to store it outside and chip questions off it using a spoon, so I can just bring in, you know, one at a time. However, if you do have questions that need answering, that doesn't mean you shouldn't send them in. It just means that it may take a little while to answer them on this here podcast. So if you do want to send in any important questions or intro suggestions or jokes or songs you just can't stop singing, please ask your flumpy hair cops Sorry, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. Don't forget to check out where our live shows are at comedyclubforkids.co.uk, grab our t-shirts and book at comedyclub4kids.store, and as I've mentioned in previous week's shows, do subscribe to the Bus Store Trust podcast, which is starting at the end of this month and is a new kids mystery podcast hosted by me and the brilliant Athena Kugblenu. Do go check it out. Do-ba-dee-doo, don't check it out though, as your ears won't like it, dee-ba-doo-ba-dee. What? What does that mean? Dibby-ba-ba-doo, they will love it. Oh, this song is so annoying. I'm going to find a way to get it out of my head, and while I do that, you listen to this most importantest bit. What a treat we have for you today on Radio Nonsense, as joining me is Monica Gaga, aka Moni Giggles, aka Monica, who's successfully avoided a harmonica, and as our Turkmen-speaking listeners will know you, Hadjathana, Bukjamzi, Yizna, Bermagazini, Hayes Yaris. But of course, Monica, you are most famously known for your famous clothing line making hats for newts called Top Hutes, for rewriting every Shakespeare play so they all include the word sausages at least 157 times, and for creating the famous TikTok trend of farting in extremely tense situations. Monica, it's so lovely to have you on the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. I've woken up, I've experienced some sunshine, and I'm ready to just talk with you.
Wow. That's good. Were you expecting to expect? You didn't sort of like wake up like in the desert and go, sunshine. Like it wasn't like an accidental.
Do you know what? I have been known to. I'm such a heavy sleeper. Sometimes I sleep through time, so I've got to be careful. I might sleep through time. It might turn into the fact that we've gone 1,000 years back or forward. So I never know what's going to happen. So I'm always like thankful for what happens. I practice gratitude. Like, yay, the sun, and I'm in this year.
That's amazing. That must make it really hard to set an alarm clock, because you think you set 7 a.m, but you set like 700, the year 700.
Yes, I've got to be very careful. I actually set my alarm clock in the morning, because if I do it at night time when I'm a little bit tired, there's been a few times when I've gone so far back in time, I've had to actually invent electricity to come back home.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and no one believes you, which is hard. It is hard. Thank you so much, because no one believes you that you can travel through time. But I'm a time traveler.
Yeah, are there ways? I mean, I suppose the thing is, like, if you say, "Well, I've just brought this from the past where I was 5 minutes ago," and everyone goes, "Oh, you got it from a museum shop or something."
Yeah, but now I'm just like, I'm not bringing back any goodies, because people are just like, even when you're on holiday, do you feel like people are like, "Oh, can you get me this? Can you get me this? Can you get me this?"
Yeah.
When you travel through time, even if they don't truly believe you, there are so many things that people want, and there's only so many robotic wellies I can bring from the future.
Wow.
I've stopped now.
Oh wow! And I mean, look, hey, and you should stop, and it shouldn't be. That's not fair for them to put that on you. But at the same time, robotic wellies sound amazing.
They are. I shouldn't always lead with that. I should lead with the boring things from the future.
Yeah.
But oh well. I won't say anymore. I won't say anymore.
No, okay. So we just leave it there. We know that robotic wellies will happen, but we can't find out anything else about how they work.
Okay, the way that it works, my contracts as a time traveler, if people were to write in and make suggestions of what they think robotic wellies are, I can't confirm or deny that, but I can maybe just give some encouraging, like, this is positively maybe the right answer, or maybe silence to say, no, you're a little bit colder, you've taken a wrong turn there.
That's tricky. And also, I suppose you have this issue of, I don't know how I don't understand time travel laws. I'm not a time traveler.
I do it, and I don't really.
Right. So have you ever accidentally moved something and then you found that the entire course of history has changed because you like moved a doorstop, or you accidentally took a dodo to the wrong time period or something,
I'm gonna have to just stop you. That I can't, because I don't want. I've made a few boo-boos. Let's just call them a few boo-boos.
Okay.
And a few things have changed, and I don't even want to tell you what it could have been. Because are you happy now? In this moment?
Yeah, well, right in this moment, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll leave it there. So I've made a few boo-boos, but at least at this moment, this time now, you're happy.
Right, sure. So it's all yeah, it's all fine. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm wary of questioning because I worry that we'll find out that, for example, elephants didn't have trunks, and then you change something now they do, and they're really annoyed about having really long noses, or all these sort of like
What
something dramatic.
specific thing that you just said?
That was.
That's not true.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well,
Okay,
I mean, I did
okay,
just pull that out of
okay.
thin air, but you do look very nervous that I happen to have mentioned that one.
No, I usually sweat. It's my thing. I don't even have
Sure.
to ever put glitter on. I just sweat.
Right.
That's normal.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, look. Hey, look. I don't want to. You're our guest. I don't want to stress you out
No, of
with.
course, of course.
I don't want to accuse you of anything. It was more sort of. Can I ask when the most awkward time you woke up was? Was there any moment you woke up and went, "Ah, not here"?
Okay, so I actually woke up once, in a time when I was 8 years old, and I was at a sleepover. And oh gosh, it was a time at a sleepover when I've been in my family, I'm famous for stinky farts.
Right. Right.
Legendary, let's say notorious.
Hmm.
And I was at a sleepover, I'd done a very stinky fart, and I woke up at that time. And usually, obviously, if I was living that moment to moment, I could either own that I've done a stinky fart and
Hmm.
be like, everyone farts, or I can go on the flip side and completely deny it and be surprised. But because I woke up in that smell, I actually woke up in the smell when, oh my jelly babies, and then literally was thrown back into the present time.
Wow.
Do you know what, the Federation of Time Travelers don't know how it works, but I've got a powerful fart. That's just
Yeah.
the main
A,
thing to
a
know.
a fart that could repel. I mean, it must be interesting that were people to use time travel for nefarious purposes, which I'm not saying they would, but were like time travel to get into the wrong hands, like a supervillain or something, and they were to throw themselves around time, your farts could be the thing that repels them away from causing like sort of evil deeds.
Yeah, I feel like we all have superpowers, and some people's superpowers might be being really good at math. Some people's superpowers might be kindness. My superpower is farts, and
Yeah.
that, yeah, it's a great privilege, but also a great responsibility.
I fully understand. And do you know, I think it's very unfair to us as human beings that farts aren't considered a skill. Like, because, like, think about skunks.
Mm,
Like skunks, like, when people talk about skunks, it's like, you know what they're famous for? They're famous for making a bad smell, and that keeps away all, like, dangerous predators from attacking them. It keeps them safe. Whereas it's like, a human does a fart, it's like, you've just ruined the day, you know?
yeah, but really, I'm like, that's what happens sometimes if you have superhero qualities, is that people don't understand. Oh, actually, I've saved the day, and people just carry on living their days, going to school, getting their cappuccinos, and they don't realize, oh, actually, how I've saved the day with my fart.
Yeah, but then I suppose you like it. It's hard, isn't it? Because you kind of want to be recognised, but also you don't want to be that person that's like, hey, it's all about me. There's something nice about
Yeah.
being humble and just like, hey, I fart for the people. I don't fart for
Mm,
myself.
yeah.
It's very
It's
hard.
it's definitely, yeah. I'm a farter for the people.
Yeah, yeah.
Fart, fart.
And now you farted through time and into the future.
Yeah. If I could fart through time, yeah.
that's that's it. I mean, that's one of my favourite songs. And
Yes.
I hadn't realised actually that its origin came from. So I'm honoured.
Again, I don't want to like. Back in the time, did I hum that next to a famous singer, and then they changed the lyrics a little bit? Do you know what? It's fine. I want to share the creativity. I want to share the love. Some people say there are no new ideas.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. And they also you were right as well. They also say there are new ideas, and there are new no ideas. They've also said, haven't they?
yeah, and some people say new no popo.
Yes, yes. Well, exactly. I've heard that said quite a few times actually. Um,
Yes, yeah, and sorry, it actually brings a tear to my eye.
yeah.
It just hits you right there.
It's
Wow.
well, poetry can
Ooh.
do things to again.
Mm.
People don't necessarily see it as a superpower, but it can that sort of lyrical
Creativity
genius.
is.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. It's very powerful. Well, I'm very pleased you woke up in this time today. It would have been very awkward had I asked you to be a guest on the show and then you woke up and it was like, I don't know, 1822 or something.
Yeah, I think also sometimes it's difficult because I did know that you was going to ask me to be on the show, but I knew before you knew that you was going to ask me to be on the show. So every single conversation that we've had before, I've been a bit like, is this going to be the time that you're going to tell me? Because when you travel through time,
Wow.
you only get still fragments of it. You don't get the entire picture.
Right. So could you have told me that I was going to ask you, or would that have ruined, I don't know, the code?
If I could have maybe hinted to it, but then if I hint to the fact that you're going to ask me onto the podcast, you might then, as a human, and you've got free will, you get to in the most part, choose what you do. You might go, I'm not going to ask you,
Wow.
just to show you, just to show you. So sometimes you just got to understand the things that you have control in and the things that you don't have control in,
Sure.
and just move forward through life.
Well, I mean, I'd just say I would have still asked you because, you know,
Oh,
it's great to have you here. But you know, so I shouldn't ask you, for example, like what sandwich I'm going to have at lunch. I shouldn't ask these things. Is it going to be too risky to find that out in advance?
let me tell you this thing. If you knew exactly what was going to happen every single moment of the day, would you still enjoy life? There's so many TV shows and podcasts and things that we watch, and we know what it's going to be, and we still laugh and we enjoy
Hmm.
it. But imagine only being able to watch the same thing over and over again, always know what's going to happen. That's when we're going to kill creativity. Creativity is going forward into the unknown and trying anyway.
Sure, and I guess we'd have to. That's the downside, isn't it? Because if you knew what was going to happen, but then you could think, well, you know, if I knew I was going to try and get a bus, but all the buses were cancelled, or like there was a replacement horse system or something, you know, and then I could
Yeah.
think, well, I'm just not going to bother. I'm not going to bother, but
Yeah,
I can't.
if I
You
knew
still have
every
to do
time there
that.
was a replacement horse system, I reckon I wouldn't leave the house.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
TFL have got to do what they do.
Yeah, it is very tricky. I should say for people around the world who don't know, TFL is transport. Well, it was originally transport for lions. Then lions
Yes,
got quite lazy. They started to sleep through most of the day. They realised they don't actually need transport very often at
yes.
all, and then it became transport for llamas. It's gone through quite a lot, but it's now currently transport for London. Um,
Currently, we never know.
we don't know what it could become actually, and especially with the replacement horse system, a lot of people in London aren't very good at riding horses because they're from a city,
Yes.
and it's quite a tricky. A lot of people fall off and don't have a very nice time.
Yeah, you can't just get back on the. Yeah, you have to know how to ride a horse. There we go.
Yes, yes, that's true. It's not like it's. Well, I was going to say, is it like riding a bicycle? Maybe if you've ridden a horse once, you could remember to. I don't know, but people say that if you ride a bicycle once, you always remember. But I rode a bike as a kid, and now I can't ride a bike. So I proved that
Oh,
theory wrong.
oh wow, wow! You're just out there just proving things wrong. You're like a
Yeah,
scientist,
yeah.
really. You're
I'm
amazing.
I just yeah, that's right. I might do I have to write a paper now? Is that how it works?
I think you just have to be near paper. Maybe you can make like one of those little like origami or like a little chatterbox with it. Or
Wow.
just as long as you yeah.
And does it would then I get made a professor? Is that how it works? You make a little origami swan, and they go, "You're a professor now."
I believe that's how the education and academic world works. Yes.
Wow. Do you know what? I'm quite sad I haven't tried. I thought it took a lot longer. Well, I know actually. I'm being mean to people who are experts at origami. It does take a long time unless you know what you're doing. I think it would take me a long time to make a
But
little
yeah, but
swan.
you're not going to be an expert in origami. You're going to be an expert in proving the fact that if you ride a bike, you can forget how to ride the bike if you leave it a long enough time.
So then the paper I make into a swan doesn't have to be a very good one.
No, 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 no,
Right,
no.
gosh, this is so. I'm so pleased you're here. You know so much, and you know already. And I know I've said this before with a few guests, but I think today it's even more true. Already, this is educational. You know, I've got a question that I need you to answer. Well, more than one. We'll
Oh,
get to that. But
yeah.
already, I feel enlightened just by you being here. So, thank you for having
Yeah. If you
the
when you're
time.
speaking to me, you are going to be enlightened. So make sure that you do put weights around your ankles because you don't want to hit your head on the ceiling as you float up.
That's what's happening. Right. I thought I
Mm,
was just gassy, and I wasn't sure what was going on. I also was worried that my room was shrinking. Um, no,
no,
no, this
no, it's
is
the enlightenment. Yes.
right. Okay, well, I'll just I'll hook my feet under the little desk thing here. Hopefully, that
Yes.
will. Thank you for the warning. I should have asked you beforehand. Actually, I don't think to ask
I
these
should have said
things.
before. I really should just have it on a t-shirt, really.
Yes, yeah, that would be really helpful. Actually, that'd be a big badge and maybe on a hat as well.
Yeah, keep
Yeah.
grounded. Yeah.
Yes. I like keep grounded. I like that's a good statement. I think
Mm,
just in general, especially for birds. Yeah.
mm.
Yeah, wow. Well, listen, Monica. Like I said, I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased you could be here at this time, particularly at this time in this time period in this year in the present. And I've got these questions for you, which we'll get to in a minute. But I'm afraid I have to ask you some admin questions first, and I hope that's going to be
Yes.
okay. The first one is, I'm not sure if you're aware actually, but this is an audio podcast, so all our listeners listen to this preferably with their ears. But as I say every week, they might listen with their bums or their knees. We don't really discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
However they want to listen, that's up to them. But I just wondered if you had a favourite noise that you could either tell us about or preferably even make for us.
Okay, yes, definitely. My favorite noise is this.
Wow, wow,
Yeah.
that I've not
And as
heard
you know,
anything
it's the
like that.
sound of electricity. It's the tiny little gremlins that are in all of the wires
Right,
and that
right.
take the electricity to all the devices that we need, or some may say we don't need. So I listened really, really close um to a computer one time and I caught it. It's sometimes you can't even put some humans can't hear it. Like like noises that dogs only can hear.
Mm,
There are
mm.
some noises that like only I can hear, but other humans can't.
What could you just in case? Because I'm worried that I feel like I heard about a third of it. I'm worried maybe my ears aren't trained. Could I just hear it again? Just to
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it up and slow it down
Yeah,
so you can
perfect.
hear it. Mama was a better baby. Oh. So that was just slowed down and
Wow.
turned up. Yeah.
So that's
Those
how
were
they.
exactly the same sound, just to say.
Is that
Yeah.
how they sound in like when you see like giant electricity pylons or things like that? Is that how they sound on those ones?
Well, that I think we would break our ears, and I don't want to do that because
Wow.
that would turn up even more.
Oh my
That
goodness.
sound was a very large fan. That's kind of like the power that a
I
large fan would need. Industrial.
I mean, do you know, I've never heard anything like it. I'm amazed and astonished to hear it. Can I? Because I don't really know. Like we've been through this. I'm not a scientist apart from the bike thing, which turns out I am a
Mm.
scientist, but I haven't written the paper, so I'm not a scientist. But this electricity thing, when you were stuck in time and you had to create electricity to send yourself back, did you have to capture those gremlins?
It's not a capture. It's almost attempt.
Right.
It's almost a befriend. I didn't, 'cause the idea to capture a gremlin is not that. They're very intelligent beings. I had to go on many walks with them. I went out to dinner with their partners and their kids. I shadowed them at work. I just experienced their entire life, and that's how I got out of a bad situation. Sometimes you just got to go in and make a solid, truthful relationship
Yeah.
in order to move forward and it not be superficial and not be kind of like fake. I was there in body, in mind, and heart.
I mean, that's amazing. Can I ask how long that took?
Yeah, well, thankfully I can travel through time, but building a strong relationship is difficult. Sometimes you can feel like you've just built it in just like 5 minutes within meeting with somebody, but for me it took a year and a half to build up
Wow.
that trust. Yeah,
To get enough
yeah,
gremlins to create the
yeah,
electricity to send you back.
yeah.
Yeah. And then did you return to a year and a half later from where you were previous? Or maybe this is too complicated. Maybe I shouldn't ask this now.
Well, the maths is very difficult, but the main thing is I return back to my current time of
Fantastic.
that time.
Totally worth it. And
Yeah.
now you've got loads of gremlin friends. So
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Parnit. He is a joker. Yeah, sorry. Carry on. I'm just thinking of something that he said.
it's great. It's
Oh, but
great. I would ask what he said, but I assume our ears aren't trained to understand it.
no,
So it
yeah,
would mean
it would just be kind of just like silence, and that doesn't work well on a podcast if you're listening with your ears, bum, elbows, or shin.
that is very true. That is very, especially Shin. Actually, it's particularly difficult
Yeah,
to hear high pitched frequencies. I don't know what I'm not a. We've been through this, so well, thank you for that noise. I haven't heard anything like that before. I'm not sure I'll ever hear anything like it again. And I'm very grateful. And I should say, listeners, don't go listening to cables. It is something you have to be very carefully skilled
definitely.
in
Yes.
doing. But maybe just listen out near your computer and You might catch. I don't know. I don't know how. Yeah. Well.
But also, I just want to just confirm, and I should have said this. Sorry for not being clear. When I say cables, I'm saying what it stands for. So it's not cables as in you might know like wires and things like that. It's cables, CABLES
Right.
cables, which stand for candy, apples, babble, long, elephant, snorkel, morkel. So
Wow.
yes, so if you if you can find one, good luck.
Right. Right. Sure. Sure. Sorry.
But it's
Well,
definitely not
I'm
wires.
very
Yeah.
pleased you. I'm very pleased you clarified that because I was worried that that you just had to try and put a little wire by your ear, and that could be not
No,
only
no,
tricky, but
no.
also it might unplug the computer someone else is using on the telly, and it really annoy them, and
Yes.
you end up in all
Yeah.
sorts of right, right, cool. Well, I that well, thank you for that. And listen, the other bit of admin I have to ask you is, I'm not sure if you're aware, but this is a family friendly podcast. It's suitable for all ages you can possibly imagine. Can you imagine an age?
Um, 12.
Yeah, 100% suitable for 12. Suitable for any age you can imagine, except 100. Long story, won't go into it. But every other age can listen to this show
So
and do.
101 is fine.
101, absolutely fine. 99, also fine. 99.9, like 99 and 364 days, also fine. As soon as I turn 100. Look,
Ooh, okay.
it's long. A bit, this is probably quite bored of me saying this, but there's a big part of it that's my own issue that I feel like 100, you got a lot of other things going on. You don't need this podcast, you know.
Okay, okay.
But it's anyway. Look, not for 100, for everyone else. So I just want to check if there are any rude words that you won't be saying to make sure this podcast stays safe for everyone.
People de loop.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Apple, Knappel.
Wow. Oh wow,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone said Apple can Apple on the show before because I think it would be too dangerous.
Yes, yeah. So there's so many more. I'm not sure if you. I've never been given this opportunity to say all of the things I'm not allowed to say.
Sure, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, but I find it important that you say what you can't say so we know you're not going to say them. Otherwise, how would we know
Yeah,
that they're not going to be said? And then there's that
yeah.
constant worry in the listener's ears that they might hear something horrendous, you know?
Oh, that is true. That is true. Yeah. So, yeah, those words I will not be saying. I promise you.
So pooper de loop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
poop de loop.
But can I just check pooper because I'm not completely au fait with the term pooper de loops. I believe it's okay when there's a number of them, but when there's
Yes.
just one, it's quite
Yeah.
horrendous.
It's
Yeah.
yes. It is really. Yeah. Plural, completely fine.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
okay. So we can have pooper de loops, but you won't be saying pooper de loop, and I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't dare
No,
say
of
such a
course. Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. You're respectful.
Yeah,
So no, you
yeah.
wouldn't. Yeah.
And apple with something I know. I mean, I've heard that out in the wild, and it has caused big
Oh
upset. I
wow.
wouldn't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be caught dead saying that. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for not saying that, and I won't say pooper de loop or apple can apple
You're so
either.
welcome.
So thank you. Now listen, Monica. Again, I can't. I keep saying just how grateful I am that you're on the show, but I really am, and I think in particular we've had three questions sent in. Normally, a listener send in one, but Matthew, aged 9, and I should say Matthew doesn't say age 9 what? I assume 9 years, but with your time traveling, it could be 9 decades, 9 centuries. It could be nine
Eons.
biscuits. We just don't
Yes.
know what it is. But these are three questions, so I don't know if that he's seen so much. These are the things that are still left over from that he hasn't found out, or if he's so young, it could be like 9 days, and he just doesn't know anything. I don't quite know where he's coming from with this.
Yep.
But he's got a lot of questions. He's got three questions, and what I would say is that I feel that we can just. I don't know how much time we're going to need, but they might be quick answers. They might be. We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
We'll see. Okay.
Yeah, would you like them kind of all at once, or would you like them one at a time, or would you like them in a strange high pitched voice, or would you like them backwards? How do you prefer to hear these questions?
I suppose I prefer backwards, but I do know that is a little bit harsher on other people's ears. So maybe just one at a time.
Sure.
Just the way that I eat my peas.
Yeah. It's the best way to eat peas, isn't it? So you
Yes,
really savor
definitely.
and
Just
enjoy each one.
savor it. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't just have them all at once. Yeah. Anyway, I agree. I agree with that, and that's a good stance to go with these questions. So we'll start with question 1 of 3, and Matthew has asked. This is a big It's a big question. We'll see what happens here.
Oh,
But Matthew has asked, what am light switch?
what light switch?
Mm,
Ah, a great. I feel like it's a question of just like what light switch. Um, what it's a brand of light switch, as we all know.
sure, sure. Yes,
So
yes.
what light switch? And was there any punctuation after that?
There is a question mark at the very end. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So I get that. What light switch? I think the questioning big corporations, big business, how much they take from the world and how much they give to the world. So when the question is what light switch, I say what you switch.
wow. Wow.
You take charge. You switch to whatever you want.
That's amazing. Oh well, I mean, I think that's very profound. What am you switch? And that's a question that Matthew can ask himself. I mean, is there a chance he also doesn't know how to work a light switch? You know, I just in case, I feel like what you said is powerful for us all to hear, but I am
Mm.
also worried that Matthew just is sitting in the dark, doesn't understand how to turn on, someone said turn on the light switch, and he said, "What am light switch?" And now he's sitting in the dark and can't see how to brush his teeth or put his shoes on.
Oh, that might be the case. If it is the case, there's some great interpretive dance YouTube videos that literally help you to do everything through the power of dance.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's the power of dance. I feel like it's not wielded enough in
Mm,
in our world. So yeah, so maybe he could speak to a trusted adult, or maybe he is a trusted adult. We don't know how old he
that's
is.
true.
And he can have some access to those instructional interpretive dance videos.
That is amazing, and it's something Again, if anyone's seen a musical, often there's a lot of dancing in situations. People think, "Oh, it's silly. They're dancing to get out of the rain, or they're dancing to introduce someone to an area, or whatever." But actually, that's a better way to do a lot of stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
And
To sing it is to solve it. I know I was speaking about dance, but sometimes to sing it is
mm,
to solve it.
yeah, and dancing and singing go hand in hand, often as part of a choreographed routine.
Yeah, it's like singing. Well, dancing is singing with the body. That's what people say.
Wow. So what? Hang on. So what's farting then? That's not singing with the body.
Uh, Farting is next level generation of savior.
Right.
Dum.
Right. Right. Sure. Sure. So I was almost demeaning farting by suggesting it was like singing.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm sorry. I really what I've done again. I once I've stepped. I've kind of got ahead of what my knowledge is. I've spoken out when I didn't. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone. I do this slightly too often. I must learn. You know, to listen to the experts. So thank you. So we've got, hopefully, if Matthew is sitting in the dark, you've enabled him. He can find these dance routine videos, learn the
mm,
moves, turn on the light switch. If Matthew is concerned about corporate power of light switches, then he needs to look into his own switch abilities.
yes, definitely.
Yes. Wow. Wow. Well, that's big. I mean, I feel like the next two questions maybe aren't as big. I feel like we've
Oh,
started big,
okay.
and then we're hopefully it gets easier, but I could be wrong. So question two is, why don't cats' noses extend?
Well, as a time traveler, I was going to say that actually, historically, cats' noses did extend, but they used to get their nose into a lot of business. So just through generations of change and evolution, so evolution is a way that the universe decides to change up what's happening. They've had to shorten their noses, and if you've ever seen a cat,
Hmm.
you'll see how short their noses are.
So
So
short.
that shows how nosy they were in the
Wow.
past, getting into everyone's business.
Wow. Yeah, because cats'
Meow.
noses are so short now, and because with a long nose as well. Like, I don't know if you've ever had the misfortune to smell a cat poo, but it's a horrible smell. Have you had a
Oh,
long nose?
I've actually never smelled a cat's poo. Could you describe it in three pieces of fruit?
In three pieces of fruit, can we assume that all these pieces of fruit are really gone off?
Yeah,
In
of
which case,
course.
I would say a really rotten passion fruit, like really where the
Mm-hmm.
insides are all like just horrible. I
Mm.
would say a dry satsuma, like dry,
Mm.
and I don't know if you a durian fruit, which I think is the worst thing I've ever eaten, which it sort of smells like a like someone's burnt everything. And it's that it's like it's all the worst smells, but in
Okay,
one poo. And I guess when cats had long noses, they had to smell their poo.
true. Like that is another thing. They were nosy, but they're also the longer the nose, the more the powerful the nose is.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So they're saving themselves.
yeah, pretty much. Think of a really bad smell, times it by affinity, and that's what cats
Yeah,
were smelling in the past.
it's horrendous. Were there ever any issues? You know, like when cats see like a scratching pole, they've got to scratch it. If they had long noses, did they think each other had a scratching pole on their face? You know, I worried there was a safety issue.
No. What would happen is if you did have a domestic cat, so that's a cat that you actually looked after, and not a cat that's in the wild. They would need a scratching pole for their body, but also sometimes in another room, they would need, or maybe even another village, another scratching pole for the end of their nose.
Wow, right, right, and they sort of like rub their nose like a snooker cue, like when you're chalking a snooker cue or
Yes,
something to make it
yes,
ready for.
yes.
Yeah, that's wow, that's good. And, you know, and I do feel like you've answered this already, actually, but this is my own curiosity. If you don't mind me sort of throwing this in, if
Mm.
anteaters had short noses, would they be cats?
You, yeah. The
Yeah,
answer is yes.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Right. Well,
yeah.
that's
There
yeah.
we go.
That's yeah. I don't feel like that. I feel very content with that answer. So thank you. Well, that was big question number two. Matthew, this is the final question. See what you think about this. I've never heard this asked before, but you know, Matthew's obviously got a lot going on. Matthew has asked, "Why do knees?"
Why do knees? The reason I do knees is because there's a lot of things when I go to the market that are on the bottom shelf. That's what I
Mm,
do knees. I also like it at disco, skidding on my knees. Obviously, they're
wow.
protected. That's what I do knees.
Yeah.
Sometimes I also like the different levels. I just love that variety of sometimes I can be really down low
Yeah.
and sometimes it can be really high. That's what I do knees. It's actually quite a personal question. And I feel like to get a true answer, we'd have to ask every single person in the world, why do knees? But that's why I do knees. But why do you do knees?
I mean, I'm gonna go straight there and say sitting. I find sitting
Yep,
better with knees because otherwise your legs would just stick out, and getting up you'd have to sort of rock yourself back and forwards to get back onto your
exactly,
feet.
definitely.
Whereas knees, you just bend them, sit down, bend them, you're back up, and that's pretty convenient for me.
Yeah, the knees are really helpful. Also, even if you don't even want to use your knees or can't use your knees for standing up, it's a great table.
Mm,
If your knees are bent, it's a great way to have a just that
yes,
portable table that you always have with you. That is your lap.
yes, and that's where you get laptops. It's also where the
Yeah,
whole country of Lapland came
yeah,
to be, didn't it? On a big person's knees.
yes,
Um,
definitely. Yeah, that's where Lapland is situated.
yeah, yeah, and so it's
Yeah.
responsible for a lot. You don't even. I mean, if you don't have knees, do you even have a lap?
Gosh, if you don't have knees, do you even have a lap? I would say yes, because you always do have a knees because it's that benditure
Yeah, yeah,
or that
yeah,
opportunity to bend.
yeah.
So yeah, so the lap is always there. So for example, you spoke about laptop. Obviously, you're not talking about the laptop where the computer. You're actually just talking about the top of your lap.
Yes, yeah, of
Your
course,
lap
yeah.
is always there.
Right, right.
If my lap has got nothing on it, is it still a lap? It's like that age-old question. If a tree falls in a forest, no one there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Mm.
A lap is always a lap, even if something's not on it.
Wow, and always and knees are always doing even if there are no knees.
Knees, you need knees.
You need knees.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
need knees. In the sense of just like dough, you need knees. You
Mm.
have to massage them. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's I always really respect knees as well because not many other bits of your body like you get to wear hats on your head, but then it's only your knees where you get knee caps. Like there aren't
there we
any. You don't
go.
get elbow caps. You don't get shoulder caps. You know. I don't
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Well, you get pads, so there was like a little bit of a
Mm.
compromise there. But yeah, kneecaps, you have knee pads. Yeah,
Yeah, they do pretty
knee
well.
tassels.
Oh,
Knee
neat.
fringe.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. I've obviously not gone all out enough with my knee kind of wear. I just opted for a baseball cap on each knee.
of course. Yeah, of course. Well, that's a classic. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can think outside of the box. Inside of the box is all the things that you've done before. Outside of the box is all the things that you haven't even thought of just yet. And I've just given you a gift. There's a few options.
Well, thank you. I am going to get out of this box. Well, I say I'm going to get out of this box. I'm going to wait until I stop talking to you because I am already floating too far towards the top of the box to be able to get out of the exit of the box.
Mm,
It's complicated. I need to come back down and then get out of the box. I think.
mm.
Otherwise, it's going to be hard.
Keep grounded.
That's it. Keep
As
grounded.
my t-shirt will say in the future that I'm gonna create.
I look forward to, I will get one. I will get one, and hopefully it'll have tiny weights on the bottom of it to kind of
Yes.
keep you where you are. Well, listen, Monica, thank you. You know, it's a joy to have you on the show, and thank you for answering Matthew's questions so succinctly and powerfully, I would say. And I don't think he could possibly have any more questions about what any of those mean. I think he should now be very, very certain what am light switch and in fact why do knees. As well as the history of cats' noses. And I just wondered, are you up to much this afternoon? Are you travelling through time? Are you having a bit of a sort of a present self moment? What's
No,
your...
so I'm gonna do some. I think it's really important to just be present. So I am gonna have some time where I'm just present, just being mindful, being aware of what's going on around me. But I am going to the custard championships,
Oh,
which obviously you don't know what the custard championships are because they are not yet happened. But yeah, you're in for a treat. The custard championships. I'm just
that's very exciting. Can I...
3022. It's a big year for the
Wow.
custard champion. Yeah, 3022.
3022. Should I... maybe I shouldn't ask. Do I take part in the custard championships?
Oh, well, what I should say is that maybe everyone has the possibility to be part of the custard championships. I've said too much already.
Yeah,
The
I've
fact
said
that I
too
even mentioned
much.
the custard championships, but I'm sure you can all use your imagination to see what that is.
You know what? And I am gonna. You've already got me thinking about. I'm gonna have to make some custard this afternoon. Maybe
Mm,
practice throwing it at people, juggling with it, balancing it, just in case,
yeah,
I need those
definitely.
skills in the future. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you, Monica. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time this time, in this time.
There we go. Time.
Ever had a song stuck in your head?
Thanks so much to Monica Gaga for that superb answer to Matthew's questions. Matthew, I do hope you liked your answers, but if not, well, I'm not going to tell you what will happen to any complaints you send in because, as Monica says, that would ruin them. But it will involve me completely ignoring them. If you have any questions you need answering, jokes, intros, or anything else you want to send in, please ask your flumpy hair cops, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. Check out when our live Comedy Club for Kids shows are near you at comedyclubforkids.co.uk, grab our t-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store, and make sure you subscribe to the new Bust or Trust podcast in time for the very first episode. Doobie-doo, don't pay much attention to me, 'cause I'm not a very good presenter. Wait, what? What is that? Okay, so while you were listening to the importance of this bit, I researched, and it said one of the best ways to get rid of an earworm, which is what you call it when a song's stuck in your head. It's not like a small worm who lives in your ear. That would be horrible. Unless it was a bookworm, and then it could read audiobooks to you at night. Yeah, actually, I would like that. Sorry, I mean, one of the best ways to get a song out of your head is to sing it all the way through. So I'm going to try, and hopefully this will give us some answers. Do babba dee ba dabba deep do, because I'm a great presenter, so pay lots of attention to me, and always listen to radio nonsense, because it's the bestest pile of rubbish you can ever do babba doo dee. Sorry, I mean podcast. I wish I didn't keep getting things confused, but I bumped my head on an elephant dee doo. Sorry, I mean a celery stick, babadoo dow. Sorry, I mean a shoe. That was really, really big, babadabba dow. Wow, what a strange song. Didn't really have a chorus or anything. I wonder how it got in my head. I'm going to go look up the lyrics. Oh, wow, it was a really famous song in 1957 called I Wish a Big Shoe Hadn't Fallen on My Head by Clive Satsuma and the Dimpled Weasels. Well, I guess I must have heard it somewhere while I was out and about and chipping questions off the pile, probably. I wonder what other songs Clive Satsuma sang. I'll just have a little search online. Ooh, I'll try this one. This song will get stuck in your head forever and ever and ever and ever. This song will get stuck in your head forever and ever and ever and ever. This song will get stuck in your head forever and ever. Ugh, that was awful. What a terrible song. I hope I never have to hear it again. This song will get stuck in your head forever and ever and ever and ever. This song will get stuck in your head forever. No, bye.
You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents. Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.